Oh, jeez.
I wish I had 300 people that gave a shit what I said.
All right, well, the camera's on, so.
Good opening quote, huh?
Yeah. Getting executives to swear. So who are you?
I'm Anoop Gupta. I head the Unified Communications Group at Microsoft.
You head the group?
Yes.
Oh. How big is it? What does this group feel like? How big is it?
It's a pretty large group that we have, over 1,000+ people. And what we do is, how we bring together email, instant messaging, thinking about voice over IP, video, web conferencing, all of the communication technologies for business users.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
So customers, products that are in your group are what?
Exchange, live communication server.
And we all use Exchange. Right?
Yeah.
Even before I worked at Microsoft, I used Exchange.
Yeah,
How much of the world's email goes through Exchange?
Dave, what do you think?
And who are you?
So I'm Dave Thomson, and I run the Exchange group responsible for the products and the services that are Exchange, and that also includes the speech server group. So.
Wow. I'm pretty lucky. I get to go around the world's companies and talk to geeks who run these companies. I got a tour of the brewery over in Cork, Ireland, and everybody uses it. I mean, it seems like everybody uses Exchange.
We have about 120 to 150 million business users that use Exchange every day.
120 million people use your products.
Right.
Does that mess with your head?
It's a sense of responsibility that comes with it. Yeah.
So what are you guys working on today?
What are we working on?
Yeah, are we announcing anything, or are we just finding out what's going on in the Exchange world?
Now, what we talk, looking at is, how do we bring all of these communication modes together for people? So I think we have tremendous businesses today. Our presence, instant messaging, Exchange hosted services. But what we are looking into is today take these silos of disconnected. Telephony is disconnected. Presence, instant messaging is disconnected. Email is disconnected. Video, web conferencing are disconnected. So what we're working on is how do we bring these together into a simple, intuitive experience? Can you be in an email, look at that, hey, Robert is around, right-click and make a telephone call, or send an email, or do an IM. Right. How can we make that? When I send you make a telephone call, can I have a subject line associated with it? Yeah. How do I bring in services?
So is Office Communicator under?
Yes, Office Communicator is.
I love that thing.
Yeah.
So I can start seeing where you're connecting all the little products that are underneath you. Right?
Yes. So yes. So you can.
I go to Exchange. I open up an email, and I get a little icon that shows me that you're online, and
So you decide to IM me instead of emailing me back because I'm there. 2 minutes we are talking. We click. We are on a telephone call. You drag and drop Dave in, so we are in a conference. This thing, that gets archived and puts back in an email. So how all of these things get connected is what we're trying to do.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's amazing. What's your challenges? What do you guys think about in the morning when you get up? Running a group of 1,200 people, 120 million customers.
I think
it's far different than my job.
I think one is making sure that we create these experiences that really provide the business value to people. They're intuitive, simple, get it out. I think the responsibility to make sure they are secure, and is a huge part of it. And deployment security, low cost, that is there. And terror within an organization, decide always that the organization is aligned and functioning. In some sense.
Now the unified you call this
unified communications.
Unified communications. So you're trying to unify all the IM client, the email client, and what else? I'm sorry.
Voice over IP, video, web conferencing. And even if you look at email is not just simple email today. Email, you have unified messaging. How does voicemail come in? We have a lot of problems around antivirus, spam issues. How do you filter that? There are continuity services that are there, which is, hey, some disaster happened, is your email still there? These communications is business critical, and making sure that it goes on, is a super responsibility and fun.
Since most of my audience is either passionate customers or developers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What should developers be thinking about in terms of unified messaging? Where are there business opportunities for them to play in this new world?
Absolutely. One is that today, because the communication is siloed,
Yeah.
I think what people have to do is think about, hey, I'm just developing on what the email platform is and how I can provide it. There's lots of opportunities there. I think we create a whole new set of opportunities when you say you bring all of these services together. What is a common compliance way that works across email, IM, and video, and other kinds of voice conversations that might be taking place? What are the applications that say, what we call something information agent, on how you connect these things, so when I email you because you're in a meeting, an instant message takes place. How can they take the offerings that we have for our partners and make them hosted and make them available to small and medium businesses? And we have many operators doing that, and many other partners who are doing that. Dave, do you want
to? Business opportunities for ISVs, developers, partners.
Let me go back to a question you asked earlier.
Okay.
Is that all right? You
That's
ask what I think about every day and what we're doing. I think about two kinds of customers. I think about our end users, and I think about our IT professionals. Okay, all right, and actually,
yeah.
You'll edit this, right?
No, we don't edit.
I just thought I had to remember the developers too, since that's what you were asking about. But let me go back on this train.
Sure.
You ask what I worry about every day when I get up, right? And what I worry about is doing a great job for our customers. The things Anoop has been talking about is for end users being able to deliver the richness of all the different ways they can communicate and be productive in a way that's easily consumable by them.
Yeah.
There are too many seams and complexities today. So with Exchange 12, for example, which is one of the main things we're working on right now, is the next version of Exchange. We are bringing together voice and email in unified messaging.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to get voicemail in your inbox. You'll be able to get faxes in your inbox.
Yeah.
You'll also be able to use...
Just like we do here at Microsoft.
Just like we do here with Microsoft,
Yeah.
except with today, that's done through the integration of a collection of other products, right? And so it's more difficult to do. It's not nearly as ubiquitous as it could be available to all users because of that complexity.
Yeah.
So we also will support voice access to your messaging and calendaring services. Right? For example,
What does that mean?
so what that means is, for example, I can call up from a telephone, right, any telephone, and access my email. I can access my calendar. And one of the coolest features that I like is you can call up, ask what's next on your calendar, and if you're going to be late, you can, with voice commands, tell it you're going to be late. It'll ask how long. You can say a number of minutes, and it'll send a piece of email to everybody that's in the meeting, and let them know.
I could have used that this morning.
I've used that from the 520 exit on 40th Street a number of times. I'm going to be there at 9:10, not 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that's an example of a form of communication that's available to me in the car, right, is voice.
Yeah.
And I can use that to access my Exchange system.
How do you guys come up with features like that? Does it come up from the bottom? Do you wake up one morning and go, I need that feature, and it gets built? I mean,
it definitely doesn't come from me. It comes from the bottom up. It comes from throughout the team, and the fact that we use and experience our products helps us identify these opportunities to make our customers' lives easier.
Right.
I think a lot comes from, certainly the teams do it, but it is from our conversation with our customers and partners, right? It means we have people, we are continuously with 120 million people using it. We get a lot of pain points they have. We also have people who do more ethnographic stuff, where you go and talk, and if you say, ask a customer, do you want this? It's not very often difficult to articulate that, but if you see the pain point that I'm missing my meeting, and you understand then pain points, then it becomes easier to synthesize these features.
We do get a lot of great feedback from our customers. We spend a lot of time with them, both up front in product development, but during the process and in validation of the product, and that is invaluable because even though we are a form of customer, we are not fully representative, and so that's an important part. The other type of customer that I worry about a lot is IT professionals, right? Because
the guys who have to maintain these systems.
The guys who have to make this work and keep it working, right? Because there's a lot of complexity here, right? In messaging alone, even behind the scenes, right, the needs for compliance, for high availability. I mean, email really only became mission critical for the broad base of businesses in the last 3 or 4 years, right? That's a big change. So everybody depends on it now, and you discover that the day that it goes down and everybody starts screaming for the first time, right? Because it's impacting their business. The fact that spam and viruses provide a hostile environment. The fact that you're really trying to integrate with different kinds of infrastructure, like the existing telephone infrastructure, right? These are all things where we think about, we get lots of great feedback from IT professionals and think about how to simplify their lives. Services are another way that we can simplify their lives as well, where we can take, essentially with a new service.
What do you mean by service?
Okay, so we acquired.
Service means different things.
Yeah, so one is you distinguish from the IBM Global Services, which is, where you'll say there are people that you're putting on site to this. What we mean by services is much more hosted services that simplify life for people. So you can say, hey, for anti-spam and things like that, all your mail, instead of directly coming into your enterprise, gets routed through Exchange hosted services, which is a collection of servers, in the cloud that are there that can filter off the spam, so you don't have a lot of load on the enterprise.
And you guys probably work with the Hotmail teams, because I know they're blocking 1 billion spams a day on Hotmail.
We work together with them in the sense to figure out what is spam, non-spam, so the signature work we share. But otherwise, a lot of stuff happens both at the edge servers that we have inside the companies, and the Exchange hosting services provide that. The other kind of thing that services do for people is making sure that if you don't have, for small and medium companies where they may not have IT staff, they can take away the upfront costs. They can provide you email, IM, voice all together in a seamless way to those customers.
You guys really are learning how to deal with a lot of these issues. I mean, here at Microsoft, I put my email address on my weblog, and I told you I get 30,000 visitors a day. So I have a fairly visible weblog, and I don't try to obfuscate my email address. I just put it right out there, and I get very few spam. The technology you guys are using is just awesome at blocking.
This is actually in Exchange 2003 in the service packs, both SP1 and SP2, we added capability to use the latest spam filtering techniques developed in concert with the team in Hotmail, and that's all that we use at Microsoft today due to our filtering. So if you're not getting spam, it's because of the smart screen filter technology.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I get a few false positives once in a while, so I still have to go through the junk folder and make sure nothing got thrown in there, but it certainly saves a lot of my time.
Absolutely.
I'm a guinea pig of your product, right? Because I'm not in public, and I have a lot of people who email me, and I'm drowning under email. Is that something you guys are trying to think about, how to help your users deal with just information overload and email overload, getting hundreds of emails a day and just not having time to deal with the email flows?
It definitely is something we think about. Anoop mentioned the information agent, which conceptually is a way to help you manage your communications, not just email. And it really, over time, will evolve and be a collection of things. As we look at the future wave of products, we're thinking about ways to help people organize email, both to handle the flow, but then be able to find it in a very efficient way, a way where you don't have to do a lot of explicit, saving to folders and things like that. Right? I mean, I think that's a key thing, is to look at the communication patterns and the way people use email to manage and drive their work, right? And look for ways to optimize around that. We've done some of those kinds of things around scheduling process, for example. It's all about workflow, right? email drives so much of the collaboration and workflow in enterprises today. It's all about looking for the patterns in the way people use it and making it naturally easier and more powerful for them.
Yeah.
So,
You guys are really. Go ahead.
You guys talked a lot about.
Who are you now? Well, you're right now.
You're
sitting at Anoop's chair.
That's right. I'm Anoop Gupta. I'm Gina Jorgensen. I'm on the Exchange Hosted Services team.
Okay.
And Anoop and David have been talking a lot about how services make your life easier, and I just question for them and question for the audience who'll be listening to this is, let's talk a little bit about those services and really how they make people's lives easier.
Sure.
Dave?
Well, the thing that Gina is alluding to is we actually acquired this last summer a company called FrontBridge, okay, and it's now part of Microsoft and is the provider of the Exchange hosted services. The things we do, for example, is we will run, as Anoop said earlier, the spam and virus filtering for an enterprise. So they don't see that flow of email. We look at the flow of email on the network as a whole, and it helps us identify traffic patterns. We have a set of experts which will respond to service requests around spam filtering issues specific to their business. Right? So we basically take the burden from the IT professional having to learn that. Another example of a service we have is an archiving service. Okay.
Tell me, what does that mean?
So archiving is all about saving the message data for a company, typically to meet legal compliance requirements, okay, or to meet business policy requirements. And we will capture the messaging flow to and from a business, and journal from Exchange can be sent to us in a journal, the internal traffic. And then we will store that for 3 to 7 years, depending upon what the customer's needs are, and then they can use the service to do discovery on that data. I mean, protecting data storing and protecting data in a compliant, robust, totally reliable way is a challenging job, and it's a job that not every company needs to learn how to do.
So you guys have professionally run data centers with backups and all that fun stuff.
Globally distributed, replicated, that are audited for security to make sure they meet security requirements. I mean, it's hard work, okay. And going back to the point I said a minute ago, it's not something that everybody needs to do. We can do it for them, particularly smaller companies.
If I was a CTO or something, I'd be like, why should I trust Microsoft with my data? My email's going to go through your service. How do I know that you're not looking at it?
I think that's a great question. You could ask yourself the same question about whether you trust your bank to hold your money. One of the things we do, though, is we follow a set of procedures that we're very transparent about, both in terms of how our facilities, our people, our technologies, and we audit those. We do everything we can to deliver on that promise, and are always looking for ways to reassure customers.
To add to Dave on that particular point, I think for Microsoft to be a successful business, it is critical to us that we maintain the trust of our customers and partners. And something like if you're a small company, maybe it doesn't matter. For us, too much is at stake. Means the simplest way I might say to a customer is, for us, too much is at stake to break the trust of any of our customers.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we simply have to make sure that we have the procedures, policies, and then we don't use it, because to get one piece of competitive information, you lose the whole company. Doesn't make sense.
Yep. Anything else you guys want to tell the world out there about what it's like to work on the Exchange team, or what's coming, or the roadmap, or any of that stuff?
Now we have a very exciting Wave 12 launch that is coming within the year, where we will
had some previews on Channel 9 of it. Looks really neat.
Yeah, right. Where we will bring Exchange, we will bring unified messaging, we will bring the Exchange hosted services. We will have a new version of live meeting and web conferencing, where we will bring together the next presence, instant messaging, video, and web stuff. Really enhanced new communicator, all seamlessly merged together.
Yeah.
So super exciting.
Are you studying how businesses are using the new VoIP and video and how it's changing their businesses? I mean, you're seeing incredible change because of this technology inside the company.
It is not that widely out, but what we are seeing is how IM and email are this thing balancing. It was very interesting. Microsoft has its media reviews where we look at the business, and I could see a lot of the executives and people. They had Outlook open and they had Communicator open. They were emailing and IMing. Depending on the kind of site conversations are in IM, email is more sturdy. So I think we're seeing people using this mix of things. So it is not about, I don't think it is about saying, take tools away, give me just one tool, in some sense. All of these different new modes of communications are important. What is important is we make it seamless and we provide some guidance to people on how to use it.
And we enable IT professionals to be able to run it in a way that meets their business requirements. Right, with Exchange 12, I've worked on a number of projects at Microsoft. I've been here for 16 years now. And Exchange 12 is the most customer value focused release that I've had the opportunity to work on. It's,
even more than Xbox?
I didn't work on Xbox. Otherwise, maybe that's what I did. But in terms of the experience and access it provides to end users, anywhere access, great mobile access through devices or through voice or through web, and the ability of IT professionals to dramatically simplify what they do, both in the product and with services, and to be able to do it in a way that protects the data of their business, right? With secure messaging and with replication, for example, built in. For high availability. So it's going to be a great release, and it is part. It's just part, if you will, of the Wave 12. I think I think customers are going to be blown away by the set of things we're providing.
On that sounds like a good place to end this discussion. So
thank you.
Thanks for spending some time with me.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.